I have a funny story of Jason when we were purple belts. So every once in a while, we'll get a holiday off. It's a national holiday, whatever, right? So the gym's closed. We got Jason on social media. He's like, man, it sucks that on my day off, the gyms are closed. I wish we could just train on the day off. So Pancho goes, I'll open the gym. And we're like, hell yeah, dude.
Good looking out, Jay.
And then Pancho comes walking in. He's just not his normal bubbly self. He's like, everybody start running. I thought it was open. Okay. And like, where he walks in the middle of the mat, he's like, so you guys don't think I deserve Labor Day off? And then I just look at Jason's eyes like, oh no.
Welcome back. My name's Kenny. I'm here with my co-host, Matt. What's going on, brother?
What's up, guys?
We got a special guest today.
We do.
Mr. Jason Medina, owner of Dedicated Jiu-Jitsu.
Temecula, California.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Awesome to have it. We talk about you enough. Might as well get you on here.
It's my pleasure.
Now there's a face to the name, so.
There he is. I'm sorry to disappoint, guys. That's what he looks like.
He's old. Bunch of gray everywhere.
But I've trained with Jason since I think I came in as a blue. So I think we were both blue belts, or he was like a dirtiest white belt of all time. Like he might have just got his blue belt when I got my purple or something. But yeah, he's definitely one of my oldest training partners.
I think I would have already been blue because I got blue when it was still Team Quest.
Okay, so you're blue.
Yeah,
belt.
I was blue when Dan opened up.
Okay, so yeah, and I was only blue for 6 months, and then Pancho promoted right to purple.
Gotcha.
So that's what it is. Yep. So yeah, one of my oldest training partners. We've went back and forth from the old gym, where there was like a lot of like more MMA based guys in there rolling with us in those adult classes. But yeah, definitely one of the oldest guys. So it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks again.
You're a professor. Are you nervous, Kenny?
No. But I am. I mentioned this earlier. I'm sitting here with the two most influential black belts in my life right now. So it's kind of rad.
Sometimes imposter syndrome is a real deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially like, and I just teach a class sometimes,
right,
a couple times a week. Owning a school and having to be that guy that, like, you know what I mean? And then other people come visit and you're like, this guy's legit as shit. You know what I mean? Like, how, like, you don't want to let your academy down. You don't want to let your guys down. And then to say you're not the biggest guy. So me as a bigger guy, I can just be, I'm just going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like sometimes you go against a guy I used to play Division I football, and then I'm athletic as shit.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I'm the black belt. I got to like show that jiu-jitsu works. Do you ever have that problem with like imposter syndrome?
For sure. And actually I could kind of talk at length about imposter syndrome from being a tattoo artist forever. I grew up on a baseball field. I'm kind of getting off topic, but I grew up on a baseball field. And, when I realized I wasn't going to be playing second base for the California Angels, life takes a turn and you're like, well, what am I going to do? And I did never draw a picture in my life and picked up a tattoo machine, just had a wild hair up my ass. And I did a tattoo and I was like, this is amazing. I got to learn how to do this. But we're talking 23 years in now, and it still very much feels like imposter syndrome. And I would think a little bit less for jiu-jitsu because of the fact some books that I've read, they talk about you go back, like maybe in your midlife, you kind of go back to the things that you did as a child. And although it wasn't martial arts per se, it's still sports. So it feels like home to me a little bit more so than maybe tattooing ever did, But what do you do when those big guys come in?
Your best.
Hey, Kenny, you go with him.
Whenever I have a real big guy, like say Shirley comes in.
Sure.
A couple times a year. 6 a.m. I'm like, we're running today, boys.
Yeah.
Everybody start running. I get everybody running. I get everybody front rolling. And then I'm like, then I'll go. I was like, that's the one perk we got. It's like we can like get the room tired before we start the rounds.
Not a bad idea, yeah.
I've definitely have had that also. And it's like, you always want to feel like, do you ever feel like you're entitled to like have to show something cool every day. But then you look at the class and you're like, I can't show this because these guys don't know this. And you come through this problem where you're like, I want to like impress. Like when you cover for a class for one time, I'm like, I can show my dopest stuff. And everybody's going to be like, dang, that was sick. What a class. And then, but like if I have to do that every week, one of these weeks, we're just going to show a basic how you switch hip, how to add pressure. You know what I mean?
You absolutely have to hammer home those fundamentals, that meat and potatoes, because you could show some cool stuff, but if they can't stay in the position to apply that stuff, what's the point? Right. So it's funny you say that. I think this year, I think maybe I got a little bit into that last year, and I kind of had to reevaluate. Like we took a week off after Christmas. And I sat down and I thought about curriculum, and especially for like my little kids, I really scaled it down. And I kind of thought to myself, I wanted to show these kids fun things. And I think maybe showing too much fun stuff brought in frustration because they were never able to perfect these techniques. And so maybe you could attest to this, because this is your daughter's class. And I've really scaled it down to, there's only a couple positions that these kids really need to know at this age. And let's get them very proficient in these positions.
Yeah.
And I don't think the kids are getting bored whatsoever. They're still all about it. And then I think, they get that little sparkle in their eye when they totally get these moves.
I think with, at least with my kid, because she's so ADHD, like just, it's hard. Like that's something we've been trying to do lately with her. Like, just in life in general, just trying to get her to focus on one task at a time.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like everything is cool to them. You know what I mean? Even like shrimps are cool to them.
You're right,
It's just jiu-jitsu, They don't, it's not like they're watching like highlight reels on YouTube at home because they're 5, So
I did have one kid come in his very first day, did the moves or whatever. And then he was on the wall. And I said, hey, like watch these kids do their first round, so you can understand it. I already watch YouTube. Yeah. He's like, I don't know, 8 years old.
Yeah. I will say this. There is a skill set to teaching kids and teaching adults. And I've said this before, the different skill set from when you're teaching a child, you have to really it's definitely, like you said, meat and potatoes. Yeah. And for an adult, there's like, it's another whole new world. And you're very, very good because you've been teaching kids longer than you've been teaching adults.
Yes.
So you're like, if you're looking for kid instruction, like you have mastered the art of teaching little kids. You've got it down, the patience. I see that you're always down eye level with them when you're talking to them. I've seen you you'll take a knee and you'll look them right in the eyes and tell them stuff when, some guys are just like standing up. Like you're very good at like being personable, creating fun games, a fun environment. So whenever anybody's like, hey, if you're looking for a kids class, I'm like, I always throw your name out there first is because I've seen it. And I'm not saying that other academies right here don't teach kids well because they do.
Yeah.
Especially any Checkmat school that, we're associated with, they win all the time. But when I've seen your classes from back in the day, especially at Quest, when you were just learning how to teach kids, and it's just very, very well done. And it's like there's like a structure to it. And when you're talking about little kids having structure, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I tell the people when they come in, I want you to see what it's like. I want you to make sure that I fit, how you want your child to be coached or whatever. Like, because I want your kids to feel like I'm Uncle Jason. And if you get out of line, Uncle Jason's going to punish you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you want to call it that Americanized style of martial arts or whatever. I don't have that. You have to bow. You have to do all these things, but show respect,
Right.
And, the jiu-jitsu comes along with everything else, but I want to teach these kids to be good people. And, that's important. And I think getting down on their level is very important. Let's say you got 15 kids. So one kid's on the wall, of course I need to watch everybody else, but I'll always try to make an effort to go sit with that kid on the wall. How's school? What's going on? What's your favorite video game? What video game are you playing right now? And try to make a connection with them outside of only being their instructor. You just have some other thing that you and this kid talk about,
Do you think that have you ever had an issue where a parent has been too hard on their child? And maybe not at your new school, but maybe in your past, or that, and you've had to like tell that parent like, hey, like this is how it is. It's not easy for anybody at the beginning.
Yeah. I can't think of any glaring circumstance. A couple times we're like, hey, let me do the coaching or whatever. But I think that's one of the things that maybe I instill in the parents, because maybe I felt like I kind of made that mistake. And I used to always just let my kids do whatever when they were on the mat. But then when we get in the car, I'd be like, why were you goofing off? Why were you, whatever? And maybe that took away some of the fun, and, my son, he left jiu-jitsu for a while and he went to wrestling or whatever. And it wasn't me at all critiquing their jiu-jitsu, but instead of just getting them in the car and be like, oh, did you have fun? Like, whatever, if you were goofing off, you were on Poncho's time. Yeah. Let him be the one that corrects you. Yeah. So I always encourage the parents, I don't care how much your kid screws off in class. Let me be the bad guy. And then when they get in the car,
just love your
kids.
Hey,
did you have fun? Yeah. That's it,
Yeah. I'll make the corrections where they need to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Apparently you hate soup.
I don't like soup. And I'm going to tell you why I don't like soup, because it's been raining. Okay. And you know what? I'm tired of this. It's been raining. The weather's been shit. And my wife cooks, and she's just making soup all the time. And I'm tired of soup as a main meal. It's not hearty. I'm 250 fucking pounds. You're just brothing me to death, lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm over the soup. I'm over like, oh, what kind of soup? Split pea soup. I'm like, okay, green liquid. Like, what is this? Juice it up? I'm tired of soup, and I can't handle soup. Soup is supposed to be made as a prerequisite meal to your main meal.
I like minestrone.
It's not hearty. It's like not hearty food.
Minestrone?
Maybe.
It's got like beans in it and noodles in it, and usually some sort of turkey and a tomato bisque broth.
I'm over it. Like when you go to a restaurant, it's soup, it's salad.
Yeah.
And then your meal.
Yeah.
Why are wives across the country or girlfriends across the country thinking they just get away with just making fucking soup?
Why are you guys discriminating about Mexican soup? Get yourself some pozole.
Pozole.
Albondigas.
Yeah. Those are more hearty.
Yeah.
Like I can mess with the chicken noodle. Yeah, I've just been having too much soup lately. And as a California guy, I'm not used to a lot of soup. But this weather is just, my wife's like, I made soup. I'm just like, oh, God, come on. What are we doing here? And then next thing you know, I'm freaking picking up a burger. I'll text her, what's for dinner? She's like, I made soup. I'm just eating a burger on the way home, and then I have to I'm fake chowing this soup. Only one bowl? I'm like, that's it. One bowl. And this is probably the last episode of this podcast, because she's going to watch this and I'm going to get a ladle upside my head. But yeah, I just came across it. It's like, I'm going to go in on soup. I'm tired of soup. I'm just over it. My nose starts running when I'm eating it. It's not that cold in California. It's 78 degrees. It doesn't even snowing yet.
It's a wind chill factor of 72, though.
You know why Soup Plantation closed? Because no one likes that shit. So I just wanted to go in on soup a little bit. It was just really bugging me. I'm like, how are we really going to do this again? Like, why?
I don't know, man. I don't hate soup that bad.
Passionate. He's passionate. Yes.
I'm passionate about my food.
Corinne, I'll take some. Send it on.
My wife.
Send it on over.
My wife makes great food. And she's a great cook, but I'm just over it. I'm over the soup. Anytime she's like, oh, I made soup tonight, I'm like, oh my, why? Why is this in the rotation right now? Like, I can deal chili, but soup is just too much.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to go in on soup. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. We're finding balance here. It's balance in my diet. Like, I'm over. I'm over it.
Should it take 10 years to get your black belt?
Yeah, because you're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. It should take 10 years to get your black belt. All these other martial arts get exposed by a guy who's been wrestling for decades, who doesn't have a belt, but he's got the grappling skill, or a jiu-jitsu guy I mean, it's already been proven. 10 years of experience, Royce Gracie was beating the 5-year black belt Kempo guy in 1992. Like, this reps, rounds,
Right.
and, you know, it shouldn't be easy to get a black belt.
I see a lot of martial arts. You can get, I'd say 3 to 5. Pretty average for like a Taekwondo.
As a guy who promotes belts, gives belts, do you agree that, like, you give him belts after time? Would you give a belt? Like, because I've heard Pancho say, like, sometimes I feel like a guy's lost his fire. You know, he's lost his fire. And maybe if I give him his blue belt, I might ignite his fire again. I've heard Pancho say that. But he said, but black belt, like, you'll die a brown belt. Like, a black belt has to be the belt you earn.
Yeah. I think I know, you know, knowing Pancho, he wants to see something different, something that, you know, I mean, that's him putting his name out there.
Yeah, you're representing him now.
You're one of my black belts. But I think I have a different take on it, taking 10 years. You know, you got guys that train 6-7 hours a day, and they're there 6 days a week. Does that mean that they take 10 years versus the guy that's a 2-day-a-week guy?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, you got, you know, the Rodriguez brothers, they're, you know, all day long.
But
doing
like
jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? And you know what? When Nicky Rod came on the scene, he was a blue belt, you know, giving everybody fits.
You also, but as your competition could speed up your process.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if you're winning pans and worlds,
Sure.
pan, of course. Like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Like, I remember training with Alexis.
Yeah.
And, you know, Alexis, you know, is, you know, MIA right now. Hopefully she makes a comeback someday.
Would be
But
nice.
she was a phenom. She was a phenom grappler. One of the only female grapplers that, like, you better go 100. If you don't go 100%, she's going to take you. She's going to take your neck and strangle you. She was a bad, bad lady. But, you know, she would win. And she belted up way faster. We started the same day. She got her black belt like 4 years, 5 years before me.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, because she would just win worlds,
Clean house
pants,
and everything.
worlds, pants, boom, bam, bam. I'm not. And she was just so dominant in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I can see that, like, yeah, you can fast track by winning competitions, but generally I think, yeah, waiting 10 years is probably is what it takes. You know, I got mine in 9, almost 10-ish. So I was really, really close.
Yeah.
And I think you got yours promotion right after me. So, you know, and then Phil cried. And then we all made memes. And then there's a meme out there of Phil crying. And if someone sent it to me, I'll send it and make it viral. But I've lost that photo. So if you listen to this podcast and you got a picture of Phil crying, send it to
Is
my
it the
DM.
Jordan cry face?
It's worse. It's like the guy. It's an old. There's an old talk show where this guy's like, "I love you, Dad," and is a black guy, and he goes, "Meh," and he starts crying, all like real sad. It looks just like that. So
I'm out of this one, Phil.
if anybody's got this picture,
I don't need to get served next week.
Phil, hey,
I thought you looked good, Phil, and I'm proud of you.
Phil served my ass last week too. Okay, Phil is amazing right now. He's on fire. But there is. Clint's been telling me, like, anybody got that picture? He like once a month he DMs me. Anybody got that picture of Phil? We can't find it. I think it's gone, and it's pretty sad because it was a good one.
He'll
But yeah.
probably went to everybody's house and recoup that picture.
It'll resurface, I'm sure. I don't have it.
It will now.
Yeah.
hopefully.
Matt's put out a call to arms, folks.
Call to arms. So, tell us a little bit about what made you find jiu-jitsu, what made you decide to take jiu-jitsu, your whole. Give us like the startup of Jason's journey.
Okay, so going back to tattooing, I'd been tattooing, raising kids. I have 3 kids, and I didn't really have much extra money. And once I finally bought a tattoo shop, I started getting a little bit of residual income. You know, I had booth renters and unexpected money that I wasn't used to having. And I was out of shape. I was right on the border of about 200 pounds, missing doing sports. You know, like I said, I grew up doing sports, and I thought, shit, I want to do something. I've been golfing, but you know, when you golf, you're not really exercising that much. You're pretty much just drinking more beer or whatever than you even the athletic part of it. And so my tattoo shop was right around the corner from a Krav Maga place. So I went and I tried Krav Maga. And it just wasn't for me. You know, I did 6 months and I was like, this isn't really what I'm looking for. And I thought to myself, oh, I'll try this jiu-jitsu stuff. And I didn't even know the difference between gi and no gi. I just went in and they kind of explained it. And I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And it was the same exact feeling that I got the first time I did a tattoo, where I was just blown away. And I was like, I'm figuring this out. I have to learn this. And it was, I mean, other than injuries, since the day I walked in, you know, you kind of can't keep me away. Well, sometimes I like to go fish, but for the most part, it was just something that always intrigued me. You know, there's just so many options. The puzzle is just constantly growing and growing. You're never going to be able to put it all together. And I think that's what, you know, keeps my interest, is there's always just so much more that you can still be learning.
And coming up as a lower belt, who was your YouTube? Who was the guy? Who was the guy you typed in and was like, okay.
Lucas Leitch, half guard.
Yeah.
You know, Lucas Leitch. I was a big fan of Lucas Lepre, even though my game is quite a bit different than his, but I love those guys that are so technical, beautiful jiu-jitsu. JT Torres. I think those were 3 of the guys that I was
Jason was always that guy. He's like, I got like the 7-disc DVD set of, like, he's like got this endless amount of like DVDs of jiu-jitsu, you know, demos and stuff. And I was always the guy who was like, is it on YouTube? Because I ain't gonna pay money. And I didn't ever pay money. I've just always been a cheap ass. But yeah, Jason was always had like, and so you didn't have like an influence from UFC or anything to try jiu-jitsu. You were just kind of like, I'm gonna try this out.
Well, I'm sure UFC was what sparked it, because without UFC, let's be frank, like nobody would have known what jiu-jitsu even is.
Right.
So I guess when I first went in, I didn't even picture a gi. I just pictured, you know, shorts and a rash guard or shorts and a t-shirt or whatever. And then I did no gi for my whole first year. And my professor Poncho was like, you want to be better at no gi? Then put on your gi or put on your pajamas. And I'm like, no. And he kept talking to me, and finally he got me to put them on. And I guess the rest is history, because I think obviously you guys know that I pretty much prefer the gi now.
Who doesn't?
You know, I think also when you get old,
yeah, I need something to grab on to.
Yeah, I need to slow these guys down. You know, but I the strategy behind the gi is, you know, there's a lot. I think it's got a lot more layers to it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that like definitely that it's just a slower game, but it's just like so much more that you can do in the gi than no gi. Even though, like I've said, you know, the new leg entanglement game, and you know, we just got done talking to on a podcast that comes out next week about the PGF, how they have their point system where, you know, you get more points for attacking the neck in this organization in a PGF than you do for attacking the legs in a no-gi situation, because and then at the end of the season, whoever has the most points gets onto the finals. So like if you hunt the neck and rather than the foot, you get more points. So because if you watch no-gi, you watch no-gis now, it's just legs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting boring. Like what people used to say about traditional gi jiu-jitsu, how it's boring. It's just slow. No-gi's getting the same way because everybody's just diving for legs.
So they all know how to defend really well now too.
Right. And so it's just like, you know, and so like there's nothing worse in jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, than watching 2 lower weight people walk to each other and just drop their butts. To me, I'm just like, oh.
Grab hands and then both sit at the same time. They both sit at the
same, you know what I mean? But like, I know those guys, some are crazy good jiu-jitsu guys, but to me, that is the worst thing about the sport is that double guard pull.
Whatchamacallit, that fight with the grappling match, I should say, with Aljamain Sterling recently. I think you posted a clip of it where he was bitching about it, and he was just like pulling guard, like it's boring. Like this is what you wanted to watch.
But that is the rule set.
Right.
So like Aljamain, you know, nut up a little bit, like you're in a jiu-jitsu match. Like I know you're complaining about the butt scooter, but if the guy is starting from standing and then he engages and then pulls guard, then it's your job to pass the guard. That's part of the game also.
Sure.
You know, learn to pass.
I don't know. I'm fine with whatever the rule sets are. So I watch it. All right, here you go. That's what they're going to do. Then pass the guy's guard.
Right.
So Poncho's been your guy from day one.
Yep.
Or so you didn't have any Brian Harper or any Joel Assis, huh?
I got there after them. Poncho was there for my very first class. And I mean, just he's so infectious. Like, just once you meet him, he's just like such a great soul.
He's
that
even
you wanna be
tattooed
around.
you.
Oh, yeah. No gi BJJ. Had to twist his arm for that one, yeah.
Yeah, he was, oh man, if you ever want to see a video of Poncho nervous or scared, he's looking at Jason's leg like, "Here's your leg, right?"
It was my leg.
He's like so nervous. And like you got the black belt tattoo guy, and then Poncho's just the first day white belt trying to tie his belt, and he's just like, it was like, this might be what Poncho looked like his first jiu-jitsu class ever. This look.
Probably not.
Probably not. No. He probably just smoked everybody.
It was pretty funny, that's for sure. And it hurt. I mean, he dug into me like he was like digging into a tree with like a knife, you know what I mean? It was bad.
I have a funny story of Jason when we were purple belts together. So every once in a while we'll get a holiday off. Memorial Day, it's a national holiday, whatever, right? Labor Day. And so the gym's closed. And everything is great. And then we got Jason on social media, throws out a text, he's like, man, it sucks that on my day off, the gyms are closed. I wish we could just train on the day off. And, it sucks. And Poncho comes in and goes, we got an alarm going off. Fire alarm? Anyway, so Poncho goes, let's I'll open the gym. No problem. I'll open the gym, Jason. Gym. And all of a sudden he puts a post out. Gym open mat. And we're like, hell yeah, dude. I'm like, oh, honey, the gym is open. I'm going to go. And so I just packed
Good looking out, Jay.
I packed my bag. I was like, heck yeah, dude. I show up at the gym. We're all stretching. Everything's bull crap. Poncho's not there yet. We're just all kind of hanging out. And then Poncho comes walking in. And he's just not his normal bubbly self. Right? And we're like, hey. And he's like, everybody start running. And we're like, oh, I thought it was open. Okay. We start running. And after like 4 laps, we're like, okay. Usually we're like inside, out. No, we're still running.
And this is a big mat space, yeah.
Is it Hendo's?
Yeah, Hendo's,
Oh,
big
yeah.
mat
Massive,
space.
yeah.
And like, where he walks in the middle of the mat, he's like, so you guys don't think I deserve, Labor Day off? Huh? And then I just look at Jason's eyes like, oh no. And I'm like, what? I was like, I should have saw this coming. I'm an ultra. I'm like, dude, I'm already gassing. I'm like, and then we're front rolling, we're shrimping, we're doing like where everybody spreads their legs and we shrimp under each other's legs and we're like leapfrogging and like we're just completely gassed doing these crazy drills. Then we after like 45 minutes of conditioning, then we did roll and we're just all spent, the whole class. And then Jason that night, he's like, I'm sorry, guys. That one was on me. So if the gym is closed, here's a rule to take away. Don't ever complain on social media that you wish the gym was open because that could backfire tremendously. That can get you in trouble. And also asking, hey, how come I didn't get promoted? That will also hinder you from getting promoted. So don't ask for your belts. don't ask the
for
gym
holiday rolls, huh?
Don't ask for open mat to be open.
I feel like asking why you didn't get promoted, you're going to get an earful of maybe some you didn't want to hear.
But I mean, I guess there could be a way you can go about it. You'd be like, hey, I know I didn't get promoted, and that's fine. Your thing is like, what do I need to work on?
Yeah.
Like, where are the holes in my game that can help me get to the next level? I think that could be a better way to ask. But if you go like, hey, how come I getting promoted? Like, or when am I getting promoted next? Don't do that.
That brings me actually to the next topic is since I have 2 professors sitting here, and I know that there's a lot of, there's some white belts. There's a lot of white belts actually that listen to this. What are the best things for a fresh white belt to focus on in order to get on the right path to blue belt?
Me first?
Yep.
Guard retention. Learn how to feel comfortable in a couple different positions, not allowing people to pass your guard. I mean, it's going to happen, but you want to be proficient with your guard. And, you know, understand some of the basics. Like when the professor's walking around the room, you might not be able to accomplish everything, but you're not making completely glaring mistakes. Does that make sense? I guess outside of the technique, you know, showing up on time, showing respect, you know, learning some of that etiquette, you know, offering to help clean mats and stuff like that. I think that does go a long way. And maybe some people wouldn't agree that that has nothing to do with your belt at all, but it's how I was brought up. Like I said, I'm not super into a lot of the etiquette, but you know, those things, you know, they show that you care about your academy. You care about everybody around you in your academy.
Team player.
Be a team player. But yeah, I think back to the jiu-jitsu, I think the main thing I like seeing is somebody who can have a proficient guard. And probably that's also because I'm a guard player.
And that's what I was going to say. As a bigger guy, and he's a smaller, you know, jiu-jitsu guy, base and holding position. Like, you're not too heavy. You're not getting rolled. Yeah. You're like, you know what I mean? You focus on heavy hips. They try to, you know what I mean? Like good control from the top. For me, that is what I would be looking for, is like, this guy's got good control. He's not like, he's jumping in the belly. He's back to side control. He's doing all stuff. And then also, like you said, don't treat jiu-jitsu like it's every, like it's just, I just go to jiu-jitsu and then I leave and you don't make any relationships, because your professor you might just miss, like, he's like, he was here, but like, we don't really know who this guy is. Like, if you're always going to class and you're like hanging out after class and you become part of the team and you're like a team member, not just a guy who's doing jiu-jitsu, and you like, he's hanging out afterwards. He's, you know, we're all getting together and he's like, you become like pretty much part of the squad. The professor's going to notice you more around. You're like, oh, look at so-and-so's working with so-and-so after class, or they're just hanging out. Like, you can become a part of the inside jokes. You become part of the culture of your gym. You're going to succeed more in the gym because, you know, you're getting promoted on your merit as a human also. Like, you know, you're not going to just, if a guy's a blue belt, to me, if I have my academy, I don't know about you, but if it was my academy and the guy was a real D-bag, you are representing my name with my belts. So whether you could be a blue belt for sure, skill-wise, but if I think you're not a good person, I don't want you attached to me. I'm not going to give you a blue belt until you can prove that you are a good person to me in my eyes. And if you're just leaving class and not making connections with the team or becoming a good teammate or helping other people who aren't as good as you or like showing that stuff, like, I want a good culture in the gym. And to move up in my gym, if I ever had one, you would have to show that you are willing to be a good friend and stuff. That even though that's not the skill of jiu-jitsu, but the skill of being a good human and teammate, that's also part of it, because you're representing me and my brand, or even on a higher scale, you're representing Poncho still because I'm under him, and then you're representing Leo. So it's like, you better be a good person, because I'm not trying to promote anybody who's not.
Sounds like you're both kind of in tune with that it's not just your on-mat performance, but also.
Yeah.
And one more thing I'll throw out there for the white belts that are listening. After class, ask your professor questions. You know what I mean? If you've got a good professor, they're going to take the time. They're going to try to answer these questions, you know. Sometimes if there's 30 people, 40 people in the class, you know, depending on how big the academy is, it's hard for them to watch every single person in the room and see what maybe mistakes you're having trouble with. So just pull them aside, you know, Hey, could you help me? I'm struggling in this area. You know?
Something I've always appreciated about you as a professor is that I don't ever feel weird about asking you something if you're teaching a technique. If there's something that I'm missing or something that I'm seeing, and it's like, okay, I see him doing that. Is that for on purpose, or are you just by chance doing that motion? You know, and it's like, but you're always you almost encourage those questions, because it's like, I don't know, do you ever feel like that maybe helps you kind of reassess your teaching style? Like, oh, maybe I need to touch on this a little bit more, because there's times too where you'll come back and correct. We'll start a technique, you know, during the drills and whatnot, and you'll like stop us like a few minutes in, like, hey, come back here. There's something I'm seeing you guys are all doing. Let's address that right now so we can, you know, make sure we're not learning bad habits. And move on to the next thing. So
Yeah, I definitely think that the questions, they point out things maybe that I guess maybe somehow or another I take for granted this one particular grip or this one thing that I'm doing with my hips or something. And then when somebody's asking the question, or like you said, sometimes I have to bring people back and recorrect it, then I know this is something you're going to have to point out because it's not common knowledge. It's something that I you know what I mean?
Right.
Oh shit, I should have said that. They're missing this one thing and it's my fault. I didn't say that.
right.
I didn't explain that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet you do that a lot less than a lot of people because you teach the kids class like we talked earlier, and you cannot miss a step for kids class. You have to tell them every little intricate of the move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say I would agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask your professor stuff. Also, don't be afraid to take a private lesson. Like it, and now your budget, it matters. But like, why wait? As I said before, you want to learn how to pass guard, but he's working arm bars. You're going to have to wait for him to come all the way back around the passing guard again. Or next time he does, like if you want to get better faster as a white belt, take a private on your deficiencies in your game. That's always been a thing that I feel will generally help you. And then a lot of professors do group privates where you can make it cheaper. I don't know if your academy does that, but you can ask, but hey, can two of us pay or whatever, you know? So.
Yeah, then I don't have to get beat up and rolled around. Here, you guys do the technique.
Right.
I'll teach you the technique.
And it
then
might
you
even be
guys get
easier for you to show than rather than I'm doing it to you. And now can you see from your bird's eye view?
Exactly. That's also very true that they get to see it from the outside and be like, oh, okay, I demonstrated it on Kenny right now. And now I'm going to demonstrate it on whoever you brought with you. And then you both get to see it from the outside perspective.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like when you're on top, it's like you reverse engineer. Oh, wait, that was the left arm, not the right arm, you know?
As a white belt, that was a huge thing for me. A breakthrough for me is like how it helped me get out of some bad positions when I was like stuck in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes you get so tunnel visioned in your roles and you're like really stuck. You're like, I'm just like tangled up right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I would try to get out of my brain or out of my body and look down. Like, what does this look like if I was watching TV? And if you can kind of visualize like, okay, well, I'm going to face this way. He's like this. If you can kind of visualize, you might be able to think of a way out. Because when you watch it on TV, you're like, just move. It's open. Just move your leg. His guard's open. Sometimes when I was a lower belt, I'd be like, what does this look like right now from up top? And sometimes, a lot of times I would get got. But sometimes I could be able to get out of it because I would get out of my head and like slow things down, quit being so focused on the pressure or the pain or the shoulder pressure and like get out of my body. So
Makes sense.
I had a DM from a guy and he said that his kid is a huge bully. Like he was adopted from the foster system. He's like a huge big kid. Like 14 years old, but he's like 6'3", big boy. And he's like, he's getting in trouble in school. And he's like, I hear that jiu-jitsu. I hear that martial arts can help him, but I'm afraid I'm going to weaponize his bullying. What is your guys' advice? Should I put him in jiu-jitsu?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one, right?
When you use the word weaponize,
He's like, I feel like he will start using it to be even a worse bully. To me, first of all, he should be in an adult class.
Of course.
And maybe if you
anytime you're 6'3", you're in an adult class.
and you
I don't care if you're 10 years old.
Maybe you come to your professor and be like, look, this is a situation. My son this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And like, as his father, I kind of maybe need him to be a little humbled a little bit here. Mm-hmm. And then you would tell your better guys like, hey, he is a child. But he needs to realize that, like, this is what's happening to the other kids. And maybe teach him that way. But also, before you put him in, maybe get him into some therapy. Get him into something outside another, you know what I mean? There's some other issues that he needs to work on. Obviously, he's got anger issues.
Right.
So.
I mean, how many people do we know that, you know, they said, oh, you know, I used to do street fighting and all that, you know, and jiu-jitsu humbled me, you know?
You know, like.
I was never into street fighting. I don't fight, you know.
Yeah.
So But there's plenty of people that are like, oh man, jiu-jitsu really changed me. You know what I mean? I've learned values and respect and not as tough as I thought I was and all the good stuff. You know what I mean? Most guys that you meet in the jiu-jitsu community, and I hate to throw the tattoo community under the bus, but they're just such nice people. And not that tattooing was bullying, but let's maybe call it like, I don't know, verbal bullying or whatever. I always felt like in tattooing, if you weren't the shit, it's kind of like, you can't sit at our table. And jiu-jitsu is just not like that. You know, you've been to lunch dinners with like world champions and they're, hey, what's up? You know, what are you going to get? You know, and it's, so I think when you get a kid that's a bully and you get them around some really wholesome people, some really genuine people that also can be bullies as well, and they see a different light, hopefully that reflects in a positive way.
It might, you know, and I think we just figured it out. It might be he's not just, like we talked earlier, he's not just taking the class, learning his skills and leaving. Have him stay, have him hang with the squad, have him go, like, let the team adopt him.
That becomes his core group of peers, and those are the people that he hangs out with outside of the gym. You know what I mean? One, they're going to step in and prevent him if he's being an ass, you know, and trying to bully somebody.
Maybe tell your senior belts, like, hey, this is the situation, right? This kid's got issues. He's, you know, this is what we're worried about. Can you guys, like, reach out to him after the class? Like, dude, you did so good, bro. Let me show you this. Or can you, like, if he has a social media, DM him, like, you coming to class on Tuesday? Like, You know what I mean? Like, and then maybe he'll be like, oh, like, give him something else to look forward to than freaking peppering that kid in second period or whatever it is. But, like, change his mindset of, like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu now. I don't need to, like, put my aggression out on this, because I think a lot of his aggression bottled up, maybe.
It could be so many things, man. It could be so many things.
Insecurities even.
Yeah, that. It could be the just not having an outlet. It could be a fight or flight response to where if his past was so bad that he's just always got his heckles up and he's always just, you know, waiting for, because he's expecting something else to go wrong, because it always does.
Yeah, and shout out to that parent for DMing me that, because it's hard to, that had to not be easy to, like, say, hey, yeah, my, you know, whether it's an adopted son or not, is a problem. And, like, you're doing a great job as a parent because you're trying to find solutions.
Yeah, right.
Some parents don't, and they just, like, are blind and they just let their parents be reckless. But you're out here trying to find how to help your kid as become a better human. So I'm not going to name drop, but whoever DM'd me, hey, shout out to you guys. Questions.
At JF Smash, training camp prep recommendations for a 60-year-old blue belt competing in Nogi Worlds.
No camp, dude. Like, you're training. Like, whatever you're getting in, you're getting in. You're 60. You're not going to have a lot of people in your bracket. As a Master 6, or you know what I mean? Like, just keep doing what you're doing. You should not change one thing. If you're already rolling a couple of times a week, just stay with your regimen. If you're having to cut weight, then obviously, you know, mind your diet a little bit. But, like, I don't think you should change your rounds. I don't think you should change your rolls. You shouldn't jump into a comp class if you're not doing comp class. You should just, you're 60 years old. You should be fun.
Up your recovery, if anything.
Right. You should just be fun and just keep things the way it is. Maybe if you're starting on your knees in class, which a lot of older guys will, start on your feet. You gotta work your standing a little bit more. But other than that, like, I would not worry about changing your game.
Okay, so then that's kind of where I was going to come. Don't change your game, but maybe get a game prep. It doesn't mean extra training, but instead of training so many different things, like you know, it's like you kind of said, you know, like, okay, right now we're working on arm bars, but I need to work on guard passing or whatever. By the time you're a blue belt, you're probably starting to get familiar with what your game is and spend a little extra time really focusing on your part of your game. Like I've done half guard forever and ever, but then when I'm not signed up for a tournament, I try my best not to really do half guard. I try to learn other aspects of the game. You know what I mean?
Fill your holes in.
Yeah. My stand up is, you know, it's definitely not on level with most guys. I'm not a stand-up guy, but I've tried hard over the last couple of years, and it's, you know, it's kind of tough because I'm an old man, but I just want to learn. But then when I'm signed up for a tournament, then I go, all right, now it's time for me to get my timing back and try to work on the parts of my game that every time I'm in a tournament, it seems like I always end up in these positions. So if I'm 4 weeks out and I'm preparing for no-gi worlds or whatever, I'm going to really try to kind of treat my rounds like the tournament, you know, and get into my positions, work my positions. But I think you're right. I think especially at the age of 60, give yourself enough time to recover. You know, you work your recovery during the competition, and then, you know, that last week, really scale it down, because you're not going to find this magical technique in the last week of training that all of a sudden wins you that gold medal. That's not how it goes. You know, get your body feeling good, hydrate,
And like I've said,
mentally prepare.
Like I've said before, people are always worried about this one takedown. And I'm going to hit this takedown, or I'm going to hit this move.
I'm going to get my 2 points.
And I'm going to hit this. I'm going to be on top. I'm going to win the match. Well, guess what? The guy you're going to win in the first round is thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Let
Or
him.
he's going to pull guard right away. And you're like,
Right.
shit, I don't have my takedown.
Right. Let them mess up on their takedown that they hope they get, and just be super defensive on the feet. And they will pull or they will miss, and you will be on top. That's my advice for any lower belt who's competing for the first time. They're so nervous about hitting this one takedown that they've been practicing for the last 5 weeks because they've been starting from their knees for the last 7 months. And let them miss. And so you can just be on top. And then the game changes.
At Rob Labani, what do you think about, or why do you think strength training is so looked down upon in the BJJ community?
I think it was his Hoist Gracie and the original guys were just basically all about technique, and jiu-jitsu was the original sport for jiu-jitsu is for the little guy to beat the big guy. Well, breaking news, guys. Big guys learn jiu-jitsu now. Okay? And now it's even. And don't be mad at us because we can bench 315. All right? Tired of that.
Even after eating soup?
Yeah. Yeah. The soup didn't help, Jason. The soup didn't help. But don't be mad. Like, people do frown, oh, man, you just use strength. Oh, you're too strong. We've talked about this many times. Don't be mad at me because, you know, your dad liked a spinner and you're small. It doesn't matter. We are here. The power is here. Is why there's weight divisions. But like, yeah, if you are stronger, if you are working out and you have built some mass or some muscle, that takes hard work.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you're a black belt on lifting weights. Like, you should use what you got. If you're flexible, you should use your flexibility. Whatever you have, bring to the table. That is your attribute. Don't look down on it just because some small guy said you shouldn't use power. You should use technique. You should focus on technique, but you should also don't forget what brought you to the dance, and don't be afraid to smash people.
Did you know what sucks is going back to, how'd you get into jiu-jitsu? You know, I wanted to do some kind of sport because I hated the gym. I hated going to the gym because I could have just went and got like a Fitness 19 membership for $20 a month. Okay, right. I'm just going to go work out and be in shape. And I hate the gym. And it's been like my Achilles heel for all of my jiu-jitsu career. It's like, you got to drag me into the gym. And that was, oddly enough, what brought me to jiu-jitsu is so I didn't have to go to the gym.
And the guys who do both, though.
Bro, you get in that bullpen and you're like, this dude's yoked.
In his gi, if you look jacked in your gi, you jacked, dog. I look fat in my gi. And then like white gi, like, oh man, we're taking pictures. Like, why'd I wear my white gi? You know that adds 725 pounds. So like, yeah, like if you look jacked in your gi, you're jacked. What about you? What do you got?
I got this LA competition next month, and
You looking jacked in your gi? You looking skinny.
I'm down 10 pounds. 222 to 212 so far. So
Good work.
yeah.
Kenny's gonna let that guy mess up on his takedown.
I am gonna do that. If you're listening to this pod, whatever single or double leg you want, go for it, my friend.
I'm sprawling, baby.
Monty. Is it true that Jason Medina's favorite band is Linkin Park?
You like Chester, dude?
I can't stand Linkin Park. Never once was I ever a Linkin Park fan. I'm very opinionated about the bands that I like and don't like. Linkin Park, Disturbed, Godsmack.
I don't like God's.
They're never going to be in the rotation. So, no, Monty,
You're just not into
no
like
chance.
the stripper metal.
That's what it's. I call it stripper metal or military metal. It's
Military metal. I mean, like what was like Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Stripper hairband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the late 90s, early 2000s trapped, Stained, Disturbed, Godsmack.
I like
That's
some of those bands. I'm gonna let you guys know. I do kind of like some of those bands because I went, from Metallica to Mudvayne and
Where'd you grow up?
here.
You're a 909er, bro.
909,
Of course you like that. It's in your blood.
Yeah. So I was kind of into that kind of stuff,
Matt is down with the sickness.
Primus, not Disturbed so much. Primus, stuff like that. I like that,
Yeah.
But
Good question, Monty.
Monty, yeah, he does not like Chester. R.I.P. dude.
Cozy CEO. Why do big guy practitioners love little guy jiu-jitsu? I'm a white belt and Lasso is the best.
I like this guy. Lasso is the best. Why do big guys practitioners love little guy jiu-jitsu? I wouldn't say. I just love jiu-jitsu. I don't know what's the difference between little guy and big guy. If a big guy's on his back, then all of a sudden it's considered little guy jiu-jitsu. I feel like, I just love jiu-jitsu. When he said this question, I again had that like Zach Galifianakis, the numbers. I'm like, what is he? What's going on?
What's the definition of big guy? 200 plus?
I say over 220.
Over 220? So a 210. So he's not big guy jiu-jitsu?
Not anymore. I was.
Gotcha.
Not big guy no more. He can't sit with us anymore. I would say like, no, man, I don't think there's big guy jiu-jitsu, little guy jiu-jitsu. Like I said, jiu-jitsu was designed for the little guy to beat the big guy. But if you look at like Carlos Gracie or Carlson Sr., that was a big guy. Haleo was small because I guess the story was he was like not healthy as a child. He was more of like the smaller brother. And his game more developed into like more of like the guard attacks off your back. And he had like 9 kids. But I think, Carlos only had 2, and then Carlson Sr. had, junior and maybe a daughter. Don't quote me on that, but like their style, Carlson Gracie's style was more power, wrestling based, top pressure.
Got it.
Smash you. So jiu-jitsu is built for everybody. I don't think there's a big guy jiu-jitsu, a small guy jiu-jitsu, but your lineage on your styles is based off what branch of your professor is, obviously. Like if you look at Poncho teaches so good off his back. He's not like a normal big guy. He's not just teaching Top Gun. He's got a butterfly. His butterfly game is spectacular. He's loop choking. All that's little guy stuff. And he does it.
His takedowns. Takedown defense.
Yeah. I'm sure.
That's where I'm happy that I'm a little guy jiu-jitsu, because when I start from standing with Poncho, I already feel in my heart, I'm like, he's not going to ragdoll me with the takedown.
Oh, yeah, not me.
Against other people, I'm like,
not me, dude.
Thank you, Poncho.
Oh, he's just because he's being nice to you?
I'm too small for him.
Or he'll pull on the smaller guy. Not me. Not me. We're battling. He's pulled on me too and still fucked me up. Yeah. So yeah. That's the answer. I can't believe I said that about that guy. God, that was bad.
I have a question. Have either one of you ever, like, by chance gotten Poncho?
Nope. I swept him one time. Okay.
I swept him once.
How did that end for you?
Okay. So one time I did like the back roll ankle pick, got him. And it was like in a situational and he had to like
Go to the wall.
Go back. Well, he came back in, we rolled again, he beat me. Okay. Then it was like a year later. We roll again. It had been a year because I do the morning. He does not come in a lot of morning classes. He comes in, he's like, let's roll. I'm like, sweet. Start rolling. And all of a sudden, I go for it again, and he steps back. He's like, nope, you're not getting that on me again. I was like, how do you remember that?
From a year ago.
From a year ago. His memory is so good. He can memorize any name. He's so good with names.
Dude, he can go to a tournament and coach 50 people, and then 2 days later, he comes in, why'd you fuck up right there? I'm like, how do you remember my match? I don't even remember my match.
Right.
Yeah, he's crazy good with his memory. And like he knew, he's like, I know that you tried that in like 2012, and I'm not letting you do that ever again.
He's not exaggerating. It's crazy.
I'm like, all right, yeah, and you fucked me up.
Damn.
So yeah, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Aim for the bushes.
Guys, thanks again. Follow us on all our social medias. We got a phone number now. If you want to call in and leave audio questions, we'll put it right here. Shout out to Jason, dedicated jiu-jitsu in Temecula. Plug your stuff. What you got? Your school.
Oh, yeah. My school is called Dedicated Jiu-Jitsu. It's in Temecula. It's just at Dedicated Jiu-Jitsu. I have a little small clothing brand called Dedicated Lifestyle, and the Instagram for that at Dedicated Lifestyle 1. Check it out. Like I said, I've been a tattoo artist for many years, so the rash guards and the stuff that I have out has all my original artwork on it, and it's always small batch. So we'll see if we grow it a little bit more. But nonetheless, my focus is on becoming a better coach.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome having you. Spotify, Instagram, at OzNation, at
BJJ Balance. Oh, me?
At BJJ Balance.
At Freak Party BJJ.
At Freak Party BJJ, at BJJ Balance, at Medina Tattoos.
Medina Tattoos, yes. Also.
YouTube has been doing fantastic.
Yeah.
So much better the last couple of weeks. The comments, hashtag burrito big. Guys, you guys had me rolling. Kenny was sending me them. So keep that up. Hashtag burrito big on the comments and all these clips. That's hilarious. I'm laughing. Appreciate everybody. And we'll catch you on the next one.